Charter 77 was a dissident movement that stood for the values of open society, opposed the communist regime, and put up peaceful resistance, because basically the charter collected signatures, and that was the act of disobedience for which the authorities really punished the participants. It was really quite a hardline regime, and they treated not only the dissidents but their families very badly, so that, for instance, the children didn't have an opportunity for education. And that was perhaps the harshest treatment, that you punish the dissidents through their families. And actually, that was what Chalfa himself claimed, that he only discovered recently, and what made him feel that they lost their legitimacy. It was through a Charter 77 foundation in Sweden, an expatriate Czech atomic scientist ran that organization, and through him and through a few other channels I supported Charter 77, which of course reached him. Once I visited Czechoslovakia, stayed with Bill Lewis, who was then ambassador, and he was going to arrange a meeting, but it didn't actually come to pass. And in any case, anything that he was doing and I was doing was very closely monitored by the Czechoslovak political police. So we did have meetings with other dissidents, and the car was stopped by the police, and they made it very clear that they knew exactly what we were doing. It was really financial support channeled through Czechs. There was another group in Germany and some other channels where I felt that these people were in contact, and the support would in fact reach Charter 77. And it was then their job to get the support in place. I didn't at that time have much of an organization myself, so I was very much just a private individual with a small foundation that was giving support. I knew of him, and I actually supported him from the distance, but I met him in the heady days of the Velvet Revolution, just around Christmas of 1989. That's before he became president, and it was still the old regime, but it was the last days of the old regime. And we met with, I was with Prince Kari Schwarzenberg, who's a human rights activist, was, I think, chair of the European Human Rights Commission, and of course an old Czech aristocratic family. And the two of us went to Prague and met with Chalfa, who was then the head of state. And we had a very interesting conversation with him, where he said that he wanted to hand over power, that he felt that the communists have lost their legitimacy. And actually that was the first that Havel learned that he was going to become president, because Chalfa said that he has enough power to hand over in a peaceful manner. And it was really a very exciting, beautiful spirit at the time, sort of peaceful transition. That's why it's called the Velvet Revolution. And then I stayed in touch with him, visited him fairly often in the first years of his presidency.